Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. 37-year-old California resident David Dempsey just received the second longest sentence that's been given to a January 6th defendant. Here's why. He was seen on the Capitol grounds. He was wearing a tactical vest and a helmet. Dempsey was interviewed in front of the gallows that were set up outside of the Capitol, and he was asked what he thought of the gallows, and he said in part, quote, "They say we need to start arresting people. We need to start putting them behind bars. No, we don't need to waste taxpayer dollars on these worthless cretins who are treasonous to our country. We need to decriminalize hemp and marijuana, turn all that shit into rope when we're done with it, and then string all these fucking worthless bastards up from the top of those," and he pointed to the gallows, "these tree lines, the rafters, the rooftops, the statues. I don't care where they go. String them up and string them up high and let everybody know this is what happens when you are a treasonous piece of shit who doesn't belong in this fucking country and has this fucking country's worst objective at heart." And then Dempsey went on to name very specific individuals, specific officials that he wants to see hanged publicly, and he wants it broadcast online. Dempsey named Democratic politicians Jerry Nadler, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, and the Clintons, also Republican intelligence officials James Comey and James Clapper. Sometime after that, he was seen outside the Lower West Terrace tunnel, and he was pretty hard to miss because he was literally crowd surfing on top of other people, on top of Trump's other terrorists. So Dempsey climbed on top of people's shoulders and their backs, and he made his way to the mouth of the tunnel. Then he started a complete assault. He threw some sort of pole into the tunnel and he yelled, quote, "Fuck you, bitch-ass cops." The pole hit one officer, and Dempsey then reached into the tunnel and he grabbed one of the other officers' riot shields, and he continued to yell at and curse at them. And typical Trump supporter, he used homophobic slurs against the police, of course. A while later, Dempsey tried to throw a flagpole at the police, and luckily that one was deflected. It hit a riot shield. Then Dempsey was seen grabbing an officer's baton. He was trying to rip that out of the officer's hands. The officer managed to hold on to it, though. And then Dempsey started stomping on the police. So at this point, he was hanging off of the ledge at the mouth of the tunnel, and his feet landed on these officers' shields, thankfully. He wasn't able to make contact with them. Then Dempsey grabbed a pole from another member of the mob, I'm assuming, or found it on the ground, and he started swinging it at the police. So that also hit their shields, and then another member of the mob tried to take the pole away from Dempsey. Someone was actually trying to help the police. So Dempsey, he was still up on this elevated area. He started stomping on that guy. After that, Dempsey was seen shooting bursts of pepper spray at the police. So within seconds of that attack, Dempsey picked up a soda bottle that he found, opened it up, and threw it at the officers. And the prosecutor said that the bottle had some sort of milky white substance in it. So the liquid hit the officers and then it splashed the surveillance camera. So that completely obscured the recording, or partially at least. You know, it really hindered the investigation into what all took place in the tunnel after that point. And this was just after 4 p.m. So Dempsey continued his assault, and it was caught on other cameras, luckily, including body cams, but other people in there were filming. So just a few minutes after he threw that bottle, Dempsey was seen shooting an officer in the face and the upper body with pepper spray. Another member of the mob at the same time pulled the officer's mask away from his face so that Dempsey could get him in the face, not in the mask. And then after Dempsey stopped spraying, the other person released the mask. So it sealed the chemicals inside the mask. That officer told investigators he thought he was going to suffocate to death. He said, I thought I'd never see my family again. He also said he had burning for weeks after the Capitol attack. And Dempsey still wasn't done after that. So after presumably emptying his pepper spray can, he then chucked the bottle or chucked the container at the police. He then grabbed a metal crutch from the mob and he started swinging it at the line of officers. They said he swung it at least 9 times. He landed a couple of blows, so he hit one officer's head and arm. And Dempsey apparently hit that officer so hard that it cracked the plastic face shield on his gas mask. That officer said that his ears started ringing and he collapsed. So they think he had a concussion, but he never got any kind of aid for it. And then that officer later reported that he had a cut and a bruise on his head. And following that attack, Dempsey grabbed a collapsible metal pole and continued to attack. He struck the police several times. They said at least 7 times. He hit several officers in the hands, the arms, and helmets. And then a few strikes hit their batons. Then Dempsey threw a folded up pole. I don't know if it was the same one, if it was that collapsible pole, but they said a folded up pole, and then 2 other objects at the police. He somehow came into possession of another long wooden pole, though, and then he started swinging that at the police. So he struck an officer's riot shield with that. He hit another officer in the helmet, and then he chucked that pole at the police. He also screamed at the police. He accused them of supporting pedophiles, which is so ironic given his support of Trump. But anyway, Dempsey briefly stepped away. He rinsed out his eyes. He changed some of his clothing and his face mask. And then he came back to the tunnel at like 5 p.m. He's swinging another pole at the police, and he ends up hitting one of the officers' riot shields. Then he threw 2 more objects into the tunnel, which they looked like broken pieces of furniture, but they weren't sure. So that was it. That's all, just attacked for hours. So Dempsey was arrested on August 26th of 2021, and he was charged with 4 counts of assault. 3 of them included a dangerous weapon enhancement, civil disorder, obstructing an official proceeding, entering restricted grounds with a dangerous weapon, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, one of which included the dangerous weapon add-on, and 2 counts of physical violence, one of which also included the dangerous weapon enhancement. So in January of 2024, Dempsey pleaded guilty to 2 of the assault counts with a dangerous weapon. So he was facing up to 20 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines for each of those charges. And this time, the government requested a pretty lengthy sentence. They asked for 262 months in prison, so almost 22 years. Plus, they asked for 3 years of probation and $2,000 in restitution. In addition to his repeated acts of violence on January 6th, Dempsey also has a long history of criming, dates all the way back to 2003. So he has been convicted of burglary multiple times. Also, he's been convicted of conspiracy, grand theft, evading police, assault with a caustic chemical, which was at another pro-Trump rally, transporting or selling narcotics. Dempsey also has 12 juvenile and adult cases that didn't result in a conviction or criminal history points. So that wasn't even held against him. And then those include burglary as well, battery, vandalism, force with an assault with a deadly weapon. And the prosecutor said Dempsey took part in, quote, 3 documented instances of vicious political violence that for various reasons did not result in any criminal charges. So these all occurred at Trump protests. In one instance, this was in 2019, Dempsey punched an anti-Trump protester and then hit him over the head with a skateboard. Then in 2020, Dempsey used the same skateboard again and assaulted a protester. And then about a week after that attack, Dempsey wrestled a protester to the ground and shot him in the face directly with pepper spray, and then repeatedly struck him in the head with a metal bat. So this guy is just completely out of control, completely violent. Another one of Trump's fine people. They're bringing crime, they're bringing drugs, and some, I assume, are good people. Not this one, though. Anyway, Dempsey spoke at his sentencing hearing, which was pretty comical. He referred to his own behavior as, quote, reprehensible. And then he apologized to the officers that he attacked. And Dempsey said, quote, "You were performing your duties, and I responded with hostility and violence." And then Dempsey's attorney actually tried to sell the idea that he's grown as a person. And then Dempsey's family, clearly they have coddled this guy. Clearly they have enabled him, because they went out, they started a fundraiser. And on this fundraising page, they wrote, quote, that he's being politically silenced for his beliefs in the Constitution. God, I can't figure out why he can't get his life together. Can you? So, U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth presided over Dempsey's case, and this judge does not play. Judge Lamberth told Dempsey, quote, "Your conduct on January 6th was especially egregious. You didn't make a split-second decision to use violence. You did not get carried away in the moment. You have a long and well-documented history of inflicting violence on political opponents." He also said Dempsey, quote, "used every instrument at your disposal to inflict the maximum harm on members of the thin blue line, protecting members of Congress and the Capitol." So in the end, he sentenced Dempsey to 20 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution. So the only person who's received a longer sentence is former Proud Boys chairman Enrique Tarrio. And that was for seditious conspiracy. So guess who won't be voting for Trump this year, or any year in the near future, or long distance future? Because by the time he gets out of prison, Trump is going to be long gone. And I don't buy his faux apology for a second. According to witnesses, there were several people who saw this. As he was leaving the courtroom, he flashed the white supremacist hand signal. So that's what he's all about. So I hope he tries that in prison. I really do. All right. Anyway, I will let you all know if I hear any more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.